This is a secure Cyber Connect podcast with Jay Adamson and Warren Atkinson, where we're joined by information, cybersecurity, technology, and talent acquisition professionals who share their journey, unique perspectives, and offer advice and guidance. Today, we're joined by Aliyu Yisa. Ali is co-founder of Fezzant, a startup on a mission to make cybersecurity both accessible and inclusive to everyone. He also co-founded CyBlack, a non-profit organization supporting and mentoring the next generation Black cybersecurity talent. He has a background within software engineering and cybersecurity and is incredibly passionate about using technology to empower people. Ali is an NCSC for Startup alumnus, a finalist at the National Cybersecurity Awards 2023, and an MSc graduate from the University of Salford. Our topics on this episode will be accessibility and inclusion within cybersecurity, along with the software developer's perspective on application security, and mentoring and leadership within startups. Ali, welcome to the Secure Cyber Connect podcast, and thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me, and thanks for that intro. It almost felt like you're talking about me. I was like, who's this guy? It sounds pretty smooth.
We always like to kick things off with a few sort of the same questions really to all of our guests. And I guess the first one is, really, what's brought you here today? And give us a high-level overview of what we're going to be discussing.
Yeah, I would like to very much talk about the importance of accessibility and cybersecurity, the people that it impacts, but also how it impacts organizations, the things that we should be doing as cybersecurity professionals, cybersecurity more accessible and inclusive. Of course, I also want to talk about CyBlack, what we do, and how potentially other individuals can help us, and maybe even share lessons from my experience with CyBlack. And of course, I'm always happy to talk about application security and how my software engineering helps you with application security.
Great. And I suppose one of the things we're always interested in is maybe you sharing something with us that you may be proud of or excited about, or just wish to shine a light on that isn't typically on your LinkedIn profile.
So for this one is a little bit tricky because almost everything that I'm trying to push is on LinkedIn, whether it's something I started or something I'm volunteering with, because the more reach you're able to get, the more impact you'll be able to make at the end of it. So I always try to share stuff around that. Something that's not completely known on my LinkedIn and it's not related to cybersecurity at all. I actually do hobby photography. I just go to places, very nice pictures. So I have an Instagram for that and a splash page. Most of the pictures are made, but I have a few masterpieces in there. But yeah, it's fun. I think we all should have something that's not related to that.
Absolutely.
That gives us.
It's good to have something that perhaps takes your mind off of the technology side of things, and having that balance is very important.
One of the questions that, again, we like to ask, I guess, is there a particular time or maybe one challenge that you face in your career that sort of significantly influenced you, maybe influenced your perspective on cybersecurity?
Yes, there's one incident that comes to mind, and it was very challenging because it was Friday night and we're all about to log off, and then we see an incident. Someone's account was potentially compromised. We had to isolate the account. It's like, it's Friday evening. There's nothing you could possibly be doing. There's no risk to this. Also, we realized that this person was supposed to be working out of hours to be talking to vulnerable people. And it means there was nothing we could do that could disrupt that account or that device and that the person was working on. So what we had to do was call up the person, explain what was going on and what we were trying to do, talk them through everything. We did all our scans. We, of course, made sure that there was no threat at all that had access to the accounts. We did everything, and we didn't isolate the accounts until we could confirm that it was actually compromised. but we had to find like other ways the person could work while we were investigating and making sure that everything was clear for the person to get back to work. What that taught me was that cybersecurity is not just about like securing accounts, devices, assets. We're protecting people, like real people. And that particular role was one of my favorites because I got to talk to the people that we were helping, and I could see how it affected them, could give them reassurance. I could tell them that it's going to be okay. You don't have to be afraid. Nobody's going to take your job for this. And they were genuinely scared, not just scared that they had their device was affected or that their work could be compromised, genuinely scared that they could get in trouble, really. And we were able to build a lot of trust with people by just talking to them and relating with them. And that made me realize that it's not just about securing devices, securing people, securing networks. We're also really like helping the business go on because like while trying to protect the business, we could shut down from being doing something that is very critical. So that's something that really changed my first.
That's brilliant. I think the human aspect of that is the important factor, especially in the technological phase that we find ourselves in at the moment. A lot of businesses and individuals are focused on technology as opposed to the people.
Going into sort of, I guess, one of the major things we want to discuss today, which is obviously accessibility within cyber. We know that there's approximately 15% of the global population living with some form of disability, and ensuring accessibility is more crucial than ever. As this field evolves, and clearly addressing these needs is going to significantly impact user inclusivity and overall security effectiveness. What do you believe are the key aspects of accessibility within cyber, and why is it critical to sort of integrate these considerations into sort of security practices?
Yeah, that's a very good question. I think it all boils down to the fact that the human aspect is one of the core aspects of cybersecurity that can't be ignored. And one of the key aspects of accessibility in cybersecurity is security awareness. I mean, we do security awareness to protect people, to help them keep safe while working. Or if that security awareness is not accessible, if it's in a way that is compatible with existing technologies, if the language is not adjusted to fit the real life experience of these people, the way they engage with the internet, for just making assumptions based on our perspective, then they're effectively excluded from security awareness process. And they're not going to benefit from it. So they are going to be more vulnerable as a result of that. We also have education and training, which is with like university, college, online trainings and online labs as well. Without accessibility, it means that what we're really doing is we're excluding people from the cybersecurity workforce, because if you can't learn about it, learning about it is made so difficult that it makes you want to give up, then it's already a disadvantage before you even get into the industry. We also have security tools. We have initial security tools where they're not really, and this is not all of them, of course. I know lots of companies that really making an effort to be accessible. But when you have security tools that are not accessible, it means that people with disabilities working within the cybersecurity end are going to be at a disadvantage. It will be more difficult to do your job.
And I think two-factor authentication is a good example of that. People that perhaps may have some sort of disability, they can't read the text messages, and a lot of systems are promptly configured to send through text in that way. Just want to weigh in on that.
Yeah. And I mean, which has got to be effective as well. It's not just about inclusivity, it's the effectiveness of inclusivity that's key here, isn't it?
Yeah. I'll actually get back to the two-factor authentication. That's a good point. But in terms of the security tools, I was talking more about like tools used by professionals, like any of your security analysis, SIM tools, application security testing tools. Like these are the things that security professionals use to use their jobs. You can't use those tools effectively, then I said the disadvantage in the work. And yes, the next point I was getting to is user software access, which is very broad. It could fall into like authentication, where there's multi-factor authentication, but it's not flexible enough. It doesn't have enough options where more people can be included. Or it could be an OTP that has like a very short interval, and someone with a disability might not realistically be able to get that code in time to be able to put it into the MFA prompts. So there are lots of things around that we need to address. Another important one I wanted to raise was with just authentication, any kind of authentication, where the authentication form is not, if the login screen is not accessible, you have people who cannot log into the system independently. Imagine some of your workers or your customers that should be paying you, or you're trying to get to pay you. If they can't even access the system on their own, then that's lost business. That's employee not being satisfied at the workplace. But that's also a security risk, because they will either give up or they'll be forced to get someone else to help them authenticate into that system. And this could be a friend, a colleague, which we advise against. But it could be a stranger on the internet. Apps like Be My Eyes, don't get me wrong, those apps are awesome because they help people to do grocery, look at what's in my fridge, things like that. But it also means people use those apps to just authenticate. And now a stranger on the internet potentially has your user password. That's genuinely scary. Another thing is with security policies and the way we design security controls, we need to be thinking about users, and we need to be thinking broadly about what are the different types of users that could potentially be using this. And then, of course, plan accordingly to incorporate accessibility into.
And look, creating a truly inclusive workplace goes way beyond just obviously service level diversity. I mean, there's obviously a deeper commitment required to fostering a culture where everybody feels valued and supported. So in terms of understanding the core elements of the impact of real inclusion, which is crucial for all organizations now, going forward, what do you feel are the key core elements of real inclusion? And I guess on the back of that, what are the benefits, along with, I guess, the challenges and considerations?
That's a good question. Key inclusion, the first part is the intention, right? You need to be deliberate about it. You need to be intentional and say, we actually want to achieve this. And I know it sounds obvious and simple. Of course, we actually want to do it, but I've seen cases where it's like, it seems more like tokenistic and performative, where like you could spend that same amount on doing something and it would actually have an impact. Like resources, time, and everything. So I think the intent matters a lot. Going beyond that, we need to have like a feedback mechanism. You need to actually work with the people who are affected. So to learn what challenges what problems they see in the current system, what barriers are they facing, and take suggestions in terms of like what they actually need. Sometimes what people need can be very simple to and cost almost nothing to implement. So if you're just assuming based on what you think, you might end up spending a lot of money without actually achieving desired impacts. So that's also another step. So benefits of having a real inclusion in the workplace or within an organization. Well, first, everyone is happier, everyone is more satisfied. They're working better. Like you're getting more results from people. And it's not just people who are affected by the challenges to inclusion, right? It's everyone, because inclusion is actually for everyone. It's just some people might be at more of a disadvantage. So when you fix those problems, you'll find that everyone is just generally happy. And retention, like good people tend to stay where like they feel like everyone is treated fairly. They don't like staying where, even if they might not be directly affected, it's like, well, if it's this other person now, it could be me the next day, right? In terms of the challenges, look, I will say it's easy. It's achievable, but it's definitely not easy. You might find, for instance, that you're not getting the results immediately. It does take time, right? With like hiring practices, with employee policies, like it takes time to shift all these things, and you need to get people on board. And depending on who is trying to advocate for these things, you might not be in the right position. You might not have like the actual authority or the influence to make these changes, and you need to convince lots of people to do lots of things. But I think something to consider is don't try to do it all at once. Whoever you are, wherever you find yourself, try to find other people who are like really interested in this, people who are passionate about it. You will find people. Start coming up with a plan to slowly but surely make improvements. And this is something that I've tried to do at every organization, even though I'm not an accessibility professional. I'm not employed to do accessibility at an organization. I try to like find other people who are interested in accessibility and try to move the needle in the right direction as much as I possibly can. And yeah, there's still a lot of work to do. I think with enough progress, happy with seeing progress, as long as it's consistent.
I definitely think we are seeing progress, Ali, and certainly over the last few years, especially, without a doubt. Sort of moving on to more the application security side of things. We know that obviously application security engineering is becoming more and more increasingly vital to businesses. The understanding how software developers and security teams can collaborate effectively is essential. So in terms of balancing security needs with what is a pretty rapid pace of development, which in itself presents its own unique challenges and opportunities, how do organizations best sort of balance security with development speed? And again, what are the challenges that developers face when collaborating with security teams, such as integration with dev tools, understanding threat models, vulnerabilities, that kind of thing?
Yeah, first I would say that there's the question isn't really about balance, because that creates the impression. I know it's a very common thing to say, but that creates the impression that security somehow hold the speed of development. But and that can be true depending on how it's implemented. But if it's implemented correctly, I think security can actually, organizations and development teams ship software faster, develop and deploy faster. This is why I think so. So when you have a process where you design, develop software, you're almost ready to go to production, you think everything works as it should, almost ready to go into production, and then you call your security team, your AppSec team, and then they do all the tests. Of course, that's going to slow it down because you've already developed everything. You've already coded all the vulnerabilities into this. So yeah, that's going to slow you down, but you don't have a choice. You have to fix those vulnerabilities. I don't know, another month, 2-3 weeks. So fix those vulnerabilities, right? If you had like a secure by design or secure development lifecycle approach, where from requirements gathering, you're talking to the security team, understand what requirements you have, what you're trying to do with the software that's been developed. Then they can start suggesting security requirements, best practices, things to look out for. And then that can go into the design. The software architects or engineering leads that are doing the designs can take this advice from the security team into consideration and, of course, design it as securely as they possibly can. And then get your security team again, get them to scrutinize those designs, discuss together between both teams. Again, they can find loopholes in those designs. It's easy to change a design decision. It's not easy to change code that's about to go into production.
I'm sure there's a financial cost that comes with that as well, especially if organizations are testing further to the right as opposed to the left. What would you say perhaps the difference in terms of the financial cost would be if organizations perhaps implement security area towards the left?
Yeah, I think the financial costs could be, I don't think there's an upper limit on that. It just depends on how much are you paying the engineering leads, your software engineers, your engineering managers. How much time have you lost? How much time have they spent trying to fix those issues towards the tail end? Or how much time has it cost after, like, you've already deployed and the vulnerabilities been discovered by some bug bounty hunter, or if it's even been exploited, it could go like infinite. But I think the one that's easy to see is all the time that's been wasted. That's real money that the organization is losing, and that you could gain back if you're shifting more towards the left in terms of implementing security into the software lifecycle. So yeah, I agree with you. It's a huge financial consideration.
From the businesses that we work with and from our partners, the ones that have perhaps seen much success in the DevSecOps space is actually entrenching a DevSecOps culture within the business as opposed to looking for a technical solution or that golden bullet. In that respect, what advice and guidance would you perhaps give organizations or teams that are just starting that journey?
I would say your first application security should be a software engineer that's super interested in security. Doesn't even have to be someone who has like security experience necessarily. A software engineer who's like super passionate about security would go a long way, and it could be someone that's already working for you. You just have to find that person. And I think you usually when you have like security champions programs where you have software engineers who are interested in security, but not interested enough to jump ship or change careers, they're interested in implementing security. Those are the best people to talk to. I've talked to so many of them, and I'm like, you can literally do my job if you wanted, but they still enjoy building software and building it to be secure. And I love having conversations with them because sometimes they even suggest like security related solutions. And I'm like, I wish I'd come up with that. So you do need those people. You need a security champions program, give them swag, give them shirts, coffee cup, whatever. And make it a cultural thing where it's like we have security champions, recognize them, and create like cultural events at the organization as well where everyone gets to participate. Something that usually works as well is when you have workshops, have like segments that are focused on like live hacking demos. So you could show them, this is if you have a security team and you do regular tests. You could show them like recent findings that you found in like the organization's applications and explain to them how the vulnerability works, how you were able to fix it, or even just like do like live hacking where you work together with them to find the vulnerabilities and they ask well for solutions. Don't start by telling them what you think the solution is. ask them for solutions, and you'll be surprised by like how much developers actually know about security.
Yeah, and I think there's a tremendous amount of value. I think there's a tremendous amount of value of developers and security teams really spending some physical time together because, of course, actually, both individuals are curious. Both have got that inquisitive mindset. And sharing of knowledge of protecting or innovating is at the core of both individual. That's what my will anyway.
And in terms of sort of mentorship and leadership within startup environments, Helen, how is Fezzant currently demonstrating this? How would you successfully sort of differentiate yourself from other companies as a sort of torchbearer on this?
So yeah, when it comes to mentorships within startups, I'll actually like use my experience with CyBlock on this one because I learned a lot from just being part of CyBlock right from the early days to where we are now, where, I mean, initially it was just a few people and every single thing that happened within CyBlock, I was personally involved in. And it was lots of late nights, lots of waking up in the midnight to get something done, lots of ad hoc sessions, like someone who just posted a question in the group, hey, I'm struggling with Wireshark. Well, how about we do a Wireshark tomorrow? You find out 20 people were struggling with Wireshark, not just one person. What we did was get people, like as soon as someone like maybe graduates from the internship program and then gets a job, the first thing they tell us is like, how do I help? So we started gathering those people as volunteers. They became mentors. And then like it's gotten to the point where someone that I or maybe one of the other co-founders supported or mentored has probably gotten a job, gotten some experience, mentored someone else, and the person they mentored is also now a mentor. So it's empowering people really. When I'm mentoring someone, I'm not looking only immediately at like, what is this person benefits? I'm looking at what can this person do? How can this person help the next person after them? So I'm always looking at it like far into the future, where I'm not only trying to help this person get through what they're currently going through. I'm trying to empower them. I'm trying to give them things to do where they can also help other people. And I think everyone has something to offer. You just have to give them a chance to prove it. You just have to see their strength and give them an opportunity, however small it is, to do something meaningful that can actually impact someone else. I think once they see that realization that, wait, I just did something that someone else benefited from, that kind of like unlocks their potential to like astronomical level. I've seen it live, and I know this because that's what happened to me as well. So
That's brilliant.
that would be my take on. Yeah, of course, I've been implementing that with Fezzant, which is a startup. Everyone that's working with me on this, like my primary goal is they have to grow. It has to challenge them. They have to grow. We all have to grow from it. And whether the company becomes successful or not, we already win because we've grown.
Yeah, and I think elevating others is something that drives myself and Jay also. It's very rewarding when you see those individuals sort of thriving and much similar to you mentioned, when they go on to actually help others too. I think holding the door going to a great way to do that, but of course the exchanging of knowledge and also knowing that you've got a network there that you can sort of go back to with your challenges, albeit work related or personal life. Because burnout and sort of mental health is certainly something that we all struggle with, no matter sort of your gender, creed, or abilities.
And I suppose leading on from that, if there was one key skill or mindset shift that you feel has been crucial for your success, what would that be?
Having an open mind and taking things one step at a time, even though like I have a very long-term vision around things. I'm not I'm very flexible in the way I think. Like, I can work on something today that I have never thought about working on in my entire life, and I wouldn't be freaked out by it. I'll be like, well, I guess we have to do this now. I'm just willing to learn and allow the things I'm learning to change me and to change my approach to things. So I think it's the learning mindset or something like that.
Being patient with yourself and sort of pacing yourself as opposed to being comfortable in that, as opposed to sort of rushing into things.
Yeah, and I think, I mean, I'm an introvert, very like super introvert. I only started trying to go out there, talk to people, public speaking and things like that when I decided to start my first startup back in 2017 when I was in uni. We're just a bunch of software developers at the table deciding what to build. And then when we built it, we realized, well, now we have to start going out there. I wasn't the most qualified. I was the least incompetent at that. Mostly because I was willing to actually like challenge myself. That's what kind of forced me out of my. And right now, like, it helped me a lot because that's how I'm able to meet lots of people. That's how I met Warren. That's why I'm on this podcast right now. And I think that's the same thing. Like, if I didn't have that kind of mindset, I wouldn't even have been willing to try to do something that's out of my comfort.
Yeah, we're certainly grateful you Ali, because you've given us some great insight today in terms of the challenges that you may have faced, and also how you've utilised strategies to overcome them, and the advice you've given others with regards to the other topics we've discussed. Before we conclude, would it be possible for you to share a little bit more with our audience about CyBlack and what does the future hold? I think you've given us an outline of your purpose and your vision, but what does the future hold for CyBlack and for yourself?
Yeah, that's a good one. For CyBlock, for over the past year, growing massive. Our initiatives, people that we support, initially it was just a student group on Telegram and a virtual internship. Now we have a SOC academy in partnership with Let's Defend. We have an academy that we run in partnership with Cisco Network Academy, and lots of events and programs. It's just way beyond what it used to be just 1 year ago. But yeah, going forward, I think the main thing that we're looking at now is more partnerships, because we can't do everything alone. We're trying to partner with more organizations to create more mentorship opportunities, more job opportunities, and just help. We're also looking to help organizations who need advice on how to create an inclusive environment or an inclusive workplace. We are willing to like go into those organizations and do sessions and just help create strategies around that. So yeah, that's what we're looking at now, just more partnerships, but also like more like direct engagement.
That sounds brilliant. And I know, from our experience and the conversations we're having for our industry at the moment, a lot of organizations are investing in their employee value proposition, making themselves more approachable, more recognizable. And a part of that is actually partnering with organizations such as CyBlack to ensure that they've got a good understanding of what's needed and what changes are perhaps driving success elsewhere. So, Ali, what advice and guidance would you perhaps give those individuals that are looking to break into the security industry now versus those that are perhaps looking to advance, maybe transition from software engineering into security applications?
Yeah, for those getting in, first just realize that the battle, like you're going to war, and try to be like you're going to need to be very persistent in terms of like learning, doing labs. But again, like all those things are not going to be enough if you're not consistent, right? So stay consistent with everything that you're learning, draw out your battle plans and follow it. But you might need to change your approach if it isn't working, for instance, if your CV isn't getting you any interviews, then maybe you need to rework it, or maybe you're missing some experience. You need to look at the jobs that you're applying to and make sure your CV is actually relevant. You can't just, and also you need to look at the job markets, like what kind of skills employers are actually looking for. If you're missing any of those skills, you need to go back to the drawing board and try to learn those skills. Another thing I would say is that you need to find like a peer group of other people who are in like a similar situation. Someone who's recently just got their first job. That will be a lot more helpful than someone who already has like 5-6 years experience. The way they did it is not going to be the same way that works today.
Yeah, and I think the important thing is that shared journey, having allies, people that can sort of carry the water with you as such, and vice versa. You can help them on their journey. So, Al, what advice would you perhaps give individuals that are looking to transition from software development into application or even software security?
Yeah, the good thing is you already have experience, right? So starting from scratch, you have some experience. You already know how software works, how technology works, how these things interconnect. 50%, depending on how senior you are, maybe even 70% of experience that you just need to start thinking in a different way. You need to start thinking of like, how could this be broken? How can this functionality be broken? How can applications be made to behave in different ways? So yeah, I would suggest going through something like Burp Security Academy, or there are lots of free labs on application security. Just try to, or there are even like lots of fun, vulnerable applications that you can download, run on your local machine and try to exploit. Getting those hands-on experiences is going to be very helpful. But the challenge is, now you've gained those skills, you understand software engineering, now you understand security, you've done a few courses, labs. Now you're trying to get into the industry, right? You're applying to jobs, you're talking to recruiters. Not everybody understands the value of your previous experience as a software. They might not see you as an experienced candidate, even though you have a lot of experience on it, because you don't have any security job title on your CV. So you're going to have to sell yourself, try to create a reputation by creating a network on LinkedIn, sharing your learning journey. Like, make it very obvious that, yes, I'm a software engineer, but I'm also a security person. I understand what I'm trying to talk about. At the end of the day, yeah, you might find it challenging with some recruiters that don't understand the value of what you bring. I'm sure people like Warren are out there that you meet, and you just need to be ready to sell yourself when you meet them.
That's brilliant. What I'm getting from that is be clear of your intent, be consistent, and you will reap the reward.
The main thing really, I guess, is for any listener around there that wants to stay connected beyond the secure Cyber Connect community platform and beyond this podcast, of course, where else can people reach you, Ali?
Yeah, I'm on LinkedIn. Aliyu Yisa is also on LinkedIn. FTZZANT. CyBlack is on LinkedIn. Actually, not just LinkedIn, on Instagram and X. I'm not calling it X, but
Usual platforms.
yeah, the usual platforms. CyBlock or Fezzant, on any of these platforms you'll find me. But you can definitely find me on LinkedIn. And if you want to get a free accessibility consultation for your organization as well, from a cybersecurity perspective, of course, you can also reach out to me and I will, I'm happy to do that.
That's brilliant. And in terms of those listeners that are perhaps want to gain an understanding of the CyBlack SOC Academy, what's the process when you're kicking off the next round of sort of sign-ups and whatnot?
Yeah, for the SOC Academy, most likely by the time this episode goes out, the next cohort has already been recruited. But if you're following CyBlack on LinkedIn or any other platform, like, the announcement goes out multiple times. So yeah, I'm sure there'll be a way to, however the application process is at that time, it could have changed. Just follow CyBlock, and I'm sure you'll get the updates. We always keep our audience engaged on all our programs. There's also the Virtual Innovation Showcase coming up on the 28th of September, with people from the community are going to be presenting about their projects and innovative stuff that they've been working on. And there is the CTF that we're going to be doing at Dish Manchester on the 2nd of October. Again, registration for that one isn't out yet, but I'm going to send you the link for the Innovation Showcase. That's all right.
Yeah, that sounds great. We look forward to seeing you there in person, Ali. Thanks.
Ali, listen, we'd love to say thank you for your time. I'm sure the community and all our listeners have found a great deal of value in today's session. If anyone wants to continue the discussion and for more sustained engagement, we invite you as always to join the Secure Cyber Connect community, where we're going to be offering a range of collaborative solutions to both technology and security professionals at no cost. These include expansive community access, cross-sector mutual mentoring programs, weekly online networking sessions, and a range of exclusive interviews, panel discussions, and masterclasses. To learn more, get access to the platform and all our initiatives, please visit secure-recruitment.com/cyber-connect/. Thank you for listening.